Welcome to Live Code Afternoon Tea. I'm Travis Tolson. So, I am fresh back from India, 2 weeks out there for the CreatorCon India events. Had an absolute blast and brought myself back some lovely masala chai. Managed to squeeze that one in up front this time. So, today, I have some work to do on the C3 app. How's it going, Laszlo? Welcome. As I said, today I've got some work to do on the C3 app. So if you haven't had the opportunity to participate, the C3 app is our CreatorCon trading card experience, basically. It lets you create a little trading card of yourself using an AI-generated avatar. And if you haven't had the experience at either Knowledge or the CreatorCon India events, it is an occasion to show up to the booth. There are a lot of people there. Everybody's piled up. Some people are having issues with the app because, I mean, it's code. Of course, there's going to be problems. Hey, Mary, how's it going? So we, the developer advocates, and the rest of the fine ServiceNow folks staffing the booth, we spend a lot of our time troubleshooting the different issues and helping users get on the happy path so that they can create an avatar and play the game. And right now, the app, when it comes to solving these issues, a lot of times it comes down to, okay, let's go to the profile table. Let's enter so-and-so's, here, please enter your email address. And then we pull up the profile, and then there's a whole bunch of troubleshooting steps we have to go through to figure out what's wrong with the profile, what state are they currently in. And a lot of this is just kind of expert knowledge. Hey there, Coffee Config and Chaos. And Mahima, welcome to you as well. So a lot of the troubleshooting is expert knowledge. Like, we built the app, we know how it works, and so we're able to troubleshoot it. Doesn't leave me a lot of time to actually interact with people, though, because I spend all of my time trying to troubleshoot the different issues. And during the CreatorCon India events, I found myself thinking, what if there was an easier way to get through these processes quicker, or have ServiceNow look up some of the information for me so that I'm not having to come scroll down, jump to QR codes. And of course, on conference Wi-Fi, as you can imagine, all of these images take a minute to load. So I started thinking, how could I create a more streamlined process for troubleshooting and remediating these issues? Initially, we were just using kind of these related links down here. And I had talked to a couple people about adding a few more, but I think we can actually do the troubleshooting interface better. And so I wanted to give that a shot here today. How's it going, Sakthi and Jerry? How are y'all doing today? So that's kind of the gist of the idea that I have. Now, to that end, I have done a little bit of prep work. If you remember from last time, I have this metadata documentation app that lets me take an application such as CreatorCon C3 and generate a markdown file documenting the different components, the different metadata in the application, tables, scripts, that sort of thing. So I've already taken that and set it up into Claude. And you can see that I've created a project. Here's kind of an example of that markdown that gets generated. You can see the tables, the fields. And so I've gotten into the habit of using AI to help me write scripts, build applications, think through things. And so I've created a project in Claude to help me out with this today. Real quick, just to make sure it actually has the information, I'm going to ask it to explain the app for me. And that's going to cause it to kind of process the documentation, and we'll see what it comes up with. Okay, cool. Innovative AI-powered superhero. Okay, so we're definitely parsing the file. Avatar creation process. Yep, yep. Card collecting and networking. Okay, so I feel relatively certain that it's able to read the document and it has the information that I'll need to talk to it. In case you're wondering why I'm not just using Now LLM and the ServiceNow code completion, mostly it's because I don't have it installed on this instance yet. But I will also say that there are times where I do prefer Claude over Now Assist. And in future episodes, it'll be fun to kind of explore some of those different times. But for this one, I'm just going to use Claude because I don't have the Now Assist tools installed on this instance. So with that, let's kind of get started. So I already have kind of a basic scaffold of, hi, Christy, Claude, Claude, Cluad. So I already have a basic service portal template that we're using for a few different things. We've got our submission portal. We have our submission portal kiosk, which looks similar but is not the same. We also have our moderation, I think it is. Yep, our moderation tool. And so all of these are using a common theme, and we're going to try and stick to that in building out the troubleshooting tool. Uh-oh, Alan, is the camera lagging? Hey, Ola, how's it going? Oh, so is my camera is lagging for people? I think I know what the issue is. I think when my other camera comes up, it causes it to lag. All right, well, hopefully it'll catch up. All right, so to start off, I'm going to create a service portal widget because it's me, and of course I am. Let's see, what are we going to call this thing? We'll call it the C3 Troubleshooter. And I know I've got like some classes and such. Let's see. CC stage, that was it. All right, so we're gonna do so this is just leveraging some of the tags, classes that I've already developed into the theme. H1, we'll get rid of the display text because I don't think I need that on this one. And C3 Troubleshooter. And we'll kind of keep things relatively simple. Div class equal to body text. And then there's the action container. All right, we'll start with that. All right, and I like to throw little placeholder texts in there just so that when I add it to a page, I can tell if it actually worked. So now let's create a page for this. Let's see. Oops, not a portal. I want a page. So basically the thought that I'm going with here is that the first step is usually to enter an email address. And that'll pull up your profile, and then we can begin checking some different things. Now, I've got some ideas where I may need some additional tables in here, but I'm not 100% sure yet. So we're going to start in the portal. From the portal, I will try and come up with some data structures as I go. And if I see some places where I can expand that to a table to make it a little more modular, I will. But honestly, I haven't really thought through this entirely. I just have the seed of an idea and we're running with it. So take chances, make mistakes, get messy, all that business. So Alan, have you fixed my camera? Is it official? Is it caught back up? All fixed. Thank you, Alan. Alan was propping me up all during the CreatorCon India events too. Let's see. C3 troubleshooter. Okay. And then we'll go to that page. Cool. All right. So now we are up and running with a very, very basic all right. Got a very basic widget in here. Let's see. I feel like there's more padding there than I realistically wanted, but we'll do styles later. All right, so I'm going to want an input. Good morning, David. How's it going? I actually can't remember what that tag looks like. It is the input tag, isn't it? Yeah, input type text. That's what I was looking for. Something like that. Nope, it didn't like that. That one must be self-closing. So what we are building is a troubleshooting tool for the CreatorCon C3 application. Basically, when you come up to the CreatorCon C3 booth, we frequently run into different issues with the application. And I've noticed that there's some common things that we encounter, and we're trying to build out a tool that will simplify some of that process. Yeah, that's not how that was supposed to go. I'm missing some tags. Div, div, div. Oh, I see what the problem is. All that is supposed to be inside of the stage. All right, so now we've got our input in there. And again, I'm not going for the final look and feel just yet. Let's see. So button primary, I think, is what we'll want there. Okay. All right, so now let's start thinking about how this is going to work. One of the first things that we'll need to do is we'll have to get the profile using an email address. So rather than writing it myself, I'm going to jump over here and see if I can get Claude to do it for me. Write a function that gets a profile record by email and builds an object to send to the client. Let's just see what that gives me and we'll go from there. When are we going to update that old logo? Never. All right, let's see what it comes up with. Not huge on the naming of that function, but we pass the email. We query the table. We want active. Most of these fields are probably not necessary, but we'll start with this and see where it goes from there. Let's grab it from here. I really hate that Alt-Shift-F doesn't work in there. Let's see. That one pairs with that one. So that should actually come in. And then these should come in, and that should close it out. All right. Function get profile by email. Okay. Ooh, Earl has the animated ServiceNow logo. We'll have to see if we can pull that one in. All right, let's see. Query the profile by table. Let's see. I want user name, first name, last name, email, alternate email, technical superpower. These should go away. I don't need those. I don't even think those are actually accurate. Display name has card image. We might actually end up expanding some of these. That's actually a good idea I hadn't thought of. This is basically checking to see if it has that particular field on it, which is essentially the if I can pull up a profile real quick. Basically, that line right there is building a Boolean if it has this image field here. If there's an image in that field, and that actually will be useful. I don't know if we may change that one. We may change that to just actually be the URL, but we'll see. We'll evolve this. Has avatar, is active, is current event, can be scanned, achievement count, scan count. All right, so next we need to, we're going to have to do a search in order to do anything here. So we need a function here. All right, so basically when we click this button, we want to take what we have in this ng model, so c dot email, Yeah, we'll leave that one there. So we want to take that model and pass it over to the server script. So we're going to need to do a c.server.get, I think. I can never remember which one. I think get is the one that passes an object. Yeah. All right, so we're going to want to pass an object here, dot then. Yeah, get if you're pulling something back, otherwise update will just send it over. Thank you, Alan. All right. So from here, we're going to c dot profiles equal to response.data.profile. I think that's going to be right. We'll do a quick console.log on response just to be sure. In the get, we're going to send our email or action, search, payload, email. Actually, no. I'm not going to do payload. We're not going to overcomplicate it. Email is going to be c.email, which we're pulling over from our ng model. So enter an email into the input. It'll bind it to the c.email. ng click. And we'll probably also do it elsewhere. We'll probably do it on enter as well. But c.search, that'll call this. It'll pass that action to our server script, which we will then do if action or input, if input and input, I'm all over the place. This is why I let AI write my scripts. Input.action is equal to search. Then data dot hey there, Quesadine. I hope I pronounced that right. Feel free to correct me with the pronunciation. Get profile by email. Input dot email. All right, so we're going to pass the email over, pass the action and email over. If we have an action, then we're going to set our data.profile to the result of this function, save it, and then let's do c.profile. So basically we're going to pass the data this way on search, and when it comes back, it'll come back as c.data.profile, or technically response.data.profile, which will then set to c.profile, and hopefully that will pop up over here. We'll actually do a JSON.stringify. And let's see what we got. We'll search for David Murch. Errors. Line 46. Undefined value has no property. There's no sysid on that one. That's why. See, and this is where you'll constantly hear us reiterate that AI is a very powerful tool. It's very useful. It can definitely help you write scripts, but you still have to bring an expert knowledge to the table. Conversational coding is not going to get a perfect script every time, and you have to know how to debug. You have to know what you're looking for. In this case, I knew that our team is just a drop down. It's not a reference field, so there's not going to be a sysid on that value. So actually, we can get rid of that line altogether because team is on the previous line. Yeah, we'll leave that there. That's fine. All right, let's see if that gets us closer. Well, the error moved, so that's good. So down to line 72. All right, we're not going to do achievement counts here. We're not going to worry about that. We're not going to worry about that. And we'll add data to this payload as needed. Well, there's a search happening, and it's not throwing an error. Let's see. Response. Here, let me dock this so you guys can see my debug tools down here. All right, so let's increase the size a bit, a lot. There we go. You guys should be able to see that now. All right, so this is the response object, response.data.profile. So we definitely have something coming back. Let's see. And for good measure, search. Okay. All right, so it's there, and we do have a string. It's just not outputting down there for some reason. Let's see if there's something I'm missing here. I don't know. Well, we've got it in the c.profile, so I'm going to assume we're good there. Let's try something else regarding that object just to see. Let's go with updated on. Dot updated on. Just to see if that gives us a result. There we go. Okay. So it is showing up over there. All right, so we've got data. We've got it querying the profile. Let's see. We probably need some other things included in this at some point because we're going to have to get the user roles associated with this particular user, this one in the user field. We will need to... we'll need to get the QR codes that have been generated. We'll probably need some information regarding those photo submissions and the generated images as well. I'll try to be a little more prescriptive when I ask it to write those functions, though. All right. So let's start with the user roles. Okay. Write a function that, given a user record sysid, returns the containing the roles the user has. Basically, in the course of troubleshooting, one of the first things we end up doing is we click over to the user record. And once we click over to the user record, we come down here and we want to make sure that the user has the player role, the internal role, and either the player with avatar or player without avatar, depending on the state of the process that they're in. Occasionally, these can get out of sync. And so basically, we need to be able to check what state of the process we're in and what roles they have at that moment to determine what corrective actions we can take. So with that, let's check this function. Get users by role? No, no, no. Get user roles. As you can see, Claude's being a little verbose today. It's trying to give me things I don't actually need. Yeah, I actually don't like that at all. I do like this, though. I don't think we need the active. Been asked if a QR code can be used in ServiceNow, something like create a QR code that can be scanned and redirect a user to a catalog item. Yes. Now, right now we are using an integration to short.io to generate the QR codes. There are client-side methods you can use to create QR codes as well. So there's a few different ways that you could go about it. But yes, it's definitely possible to get QR codes generated and added into ServiceNow. And in fact, that's what our app is doing, is basically on the profile, these QR codes, we send a request out to short.io. That sends us back a QR code image that we stick in the instance. And within that QR code, we embed certain information that, or we embed a certain URL in that QR code so that when you scan it, it goes where you want it to. So that's really all it comes down to, is you just have to build the URL that you want, send it to your QR code generator, and then you have that QR code to use. And in our case, I think, and Christy can correct me on this, but I think we set up maybe a UI page, or maybe it was a service portal page, that is the URL that the QR code contains. And so when you go there, there's some processing in that script to handle the URL parameters that were passed. Now, a lot of this script I actually didn't like. So I'm going to take the parts that I do like, because honestly, this one was kind of a mess. And actually, I'm finding that this is actually something that ServiceNow's Now LLM would have actually been a little bit better at. it would have made a much better function for this. Claude has gotten a little bit aggressive on this one and tried to add a little too much in the kitchen sink in this one. So I actually would have felt a lot better if I had now LLM for this particular function. Okay, so get roles for user. We're going to pass in that user ID. Already I've botched this one. There we go. All right, so I'm going to need... So the way I want this one to work is I want a quick map. So we're going to use an object for this one, because basically for most of this, I'm going to want to check to see if the user has this role. So rather than iterating through an array to find out, I want that quick dictionary lookup. So we're going to use an object for this one. So roles, user role, gr dot, and I'm going to have to go to the table on this one because I don't remember what the field names are here. Okay, role. I think it's going to be role.name. Dot role dot name dot toString, just to be sure, equal to true. Return roles. Okay, then down here we want to use that function. And we're going to do get roles for user. I wonder if I should actually embed this one in here and just add it all to the profile. I kind of like that. Let's do that. So profile, we'll do roles. Get roles for user, and we'll pass in the sysid there. And that should add that to our existing object so that I don't have to clutter our data object. And let's see how that worked. Roles. There we go. So SNC internal is true. Photo player is true. Player with avatar is true. So now we can see that we're populating the roles that are on this particular profile. So that is giving us, if I go back to my profiles, that's giving us the user roles for this guy right here, whoever's listed on that particular profile. Eventually, we're going to need these other things, but I'm going to start with what we have so we can start building out some actual logic into the troubleshooter. So we're going to go through the pacings on some of the first steps. So now that we've got that search, let's see. All right. We're going to have to show different solutions depending on where it is in the process. So I know that much. His card is complete. So we know he was able to log in. Let's think about this. Thinking about how to go about this. So we want to check if this user exists. We want to check if they have the right roles. We want to check if they're on the current event and active. If all of those things are true, then the user should be able to use the app. So let's start with that concept there of should this user be able to use the app? Let's show some warning flags if any of these things are not the case. So let's get rid of that because we don't need that right now. All right. ng if c dot profile what are my fields? Need to change one thing up here because I need to change the active. And I need to put active in here instead. Is active. Okay. So if the profile is not active, class equal to text danger we'll start real simple. And I will inactivate this one. Sorry, David. All right, we'll have to fix that, obviously. And it didn't work at all. Let's see. Is active. Oh, is 0. Gotta love Boolean fields. So is active. And we'll do the same one on this one, equal to 1. Okay. Now, profile is not active. All right, so clearly when we reload the page, it defaults to showing profile is not active because we don't have any indicator that a search has been performed or not performed. So we'll need to track that. We'll add a is searching and okay. All right, so here's what we're going to do. At the beginning of this function, we will set is searching to true, and we will set has search result to false. Then, upon completion, is searching to false, and has search result to true. Or Hold on a second. We need to modify that slightly. Because this really needs to be a ternary. We really need three options here because we need when the search has found something, when the search has found a profile, when the search has not found a profile, and the initial state. So we'll start with undefined. Yeah, we'll start with undefined, or actually we'll start with null. We'll start with null, and that way that'll give us three potential values, null, false, and true. If c.profile else okay. So now that we've got these three set up, what we can do is we can first of all disable this search button when it is currently searching. And that's going to prevent that double click. That's going to prevent spamming the server with unnecessary requests. We want to wait for the search to come back before we do it again. That helps prevent some inconsistent states that can occur when you're doing this kind of asynchronous behavior. It's something we ran into elsewhere in the C3 app where I had to add this sort of behaviors. So we'll disable it. Also, we'll add it to this function. If c dot is searching, return. That way that function can't be called if it's already searching. Next, if if c dot has search result, and we're going to drop these guys in here. And dumping it into a div like this is just going to make it so that I don't have to repeat this particular if condition in all the other things I'm going to do. Let's see. So we got a question from Mahathi. Can now assist code generator create this whole code if we give a natural language prompt? Maybe. So technically, yes. Technically, if I had those plugins installed on this instance, I could go in and not from this view, mind you. Service Portal in this view does not have the Now Assist code completion enabled. However, if you go to the record view for the widget, then code completion does exist on those fields. So you could go to the record view and you could use Code Assist to help. And I have tested it out and it does work for the client script. Success out of that is highly dependent on what you're trying to do. For what I'm doing right now, it might get it there. It might get it there. I have found that Now Assist definitely has its limitations. It is much better when you are dealing with system properties, glide record, server script glide APIs. It is much stronger in that department, especially ones for which there are a lot of examples of the code. So I have found that it tends to be a little less effective with more obscure ones like Glide Scoped Evaluator that don't get used nearly as much. I find it's much more successful with glide records, with the caveat that custom tables and custom fields can be hit or miss on it as to whether it gets the right ones or not. It really likes to do the U underscore. So if you're in a scoped application that's not using U underscore, it tends to get a little more confused. But short answer, yes, it could generate those things. Long answer, your mileage is definitely going to vary depending on what you are asking it, which APIs you're expecting it to use. It's not as strong in AngularJS as it is server-side stuff. And there are a lot of edge cases around it where I have found that Claude has been a much better option for me in terms of some of the more generalized coding problems, such as things with AngularJS. And truth be told, thinking about it now, I probably could have asked Claude to write a service. If I had a better idea of exactly what I was doing from the start, I probably could have asked Claude to write this widget, and it probably would have given me something to work with. Let's see. So if I throw, oops. We don't want to throw code in there. We want to throw an email in there. Nope. Let's see. Has search result. Helps if we spell things correctly. Okay, so profile is not active. Let's see. Is current event profile dot roles actually let's do this version snc internal and so this is just kind of a start for this particular tool, because what I want to do is actually have the remediation steps built into it. Let me go grab those, because we're starting to wind down to the top of the hour. Boom. And this one should actually be, I think, without avatar. And does not have with avatar. Profile does not have the player role. The avatar role. All right. Dang it. Did it again. All right, so this profile is not active, and it's not active for the current event. So basically, you have to be active, you have to be on the current event, and you have to have the proper roles in order to be able to use the app at all. So this is kind of the start of this particular app that I want to build out. I want to check for issues, and then if certain issues are encountered, I want there to be a quick action or a quick remediation step where folks at the booth can click a button and say, so instead of it saying that the profile is not active, instead of it saying that it's not active for the current event, ideally what I would like is if it's not active for the current event, or doesn't have the roles, an action pops up where they can turn around and click it, and it will move that person's profile to the current event, to active, and make sure that they have the appropriate roles set up. So that way we don't have to go in and mess with things. And there's a whole host of other issues that I want to be able to check for. I feel like there is a table that I could use here of check for a certain condition and then an action script if that condition is met, and you click that particular action to execute it. I feel like there's space for a table in here for this. But so that's the idea that I'm working with here, and it's really just to kind of streamline the booth process for the C3 application and help remediate some of these different issues that come up. You know, another example is sometimes people would get stuck in pending image selection, even though they selected an image and like only one QR code would have generated. They were missing a QR code or both QR codes, and it would get stuck in that state. So the process for that is delete any existing ones, click the Generate QR Codes button, and then after that's done, kick the state over to pending composite. So I would love to be able to script some of that stuff out, have these remediation steps ready to go, so that the people at the booth just have to quickly type in an email address and see what actions are available to them to fix that particular profile. And if there aren't any steps that they can perform, then escalate it to somebody that has more expertise in the app. So really just trying to find a way to streamline those processes and make the troubleshooting process accessible to more people. As you can see, this one went a lot slower than the scripts I was writing last time, which had a lot more support from Claude, and those went a lot quicker. Hopefully I will get some more things on this up to speed for next time. So with that, just kind of some closing notes. We are currently doing registration for TechNow. If one of my fellow compatriots could help me with that link, I forgot to get it beforehand. I can also look it up on LinkedIn because Laszlo has an amazing promo video for TechNow that you absolutely have to go see. So I'm going to drop this registration link into the comments. So if you have not already registered for TechNow, be sure to go and do that. And then be on the lookout for our other live coding episodes. Live Coding 11sies and Live Coding Second Breakfast. So be sure to be on the lookout for those as we publish them. And I hope to see you guys next time. Thanks for coming out. Bye.